So, how do I set my flat fee? That is by far the question that I am asked by attorneys the most. So, today we are going to talk about that. Hi, all. I'm Bree DeLong, and I used to be an overworked, frustrated attorney using hourly billing. And now I teach other attorneys on flat fee billing and how to use flat fees and set flat fees to improve their quality of life, essentially. Get time out of the office, increase their income, and increase the quality of their work product. So today we're going to talk about the research that you need to do in order to begin the process of setting your flat fees. Okay? So a couple things that will really help out is to, number one, limit your practice area. It is very difficult to set flat fees in any accurate or methodical way if you are practicing 2, 3 plus areas of practice, because how you set your fee is based on what people have charged in the past, in large part. So if you have a contract matter that's coming in the door once every 3 or 4 years, you're really just starting from scratch with that each new matter that comes in. And that's not how you want to do it. You want a more methodical way to do it. So the first thing that I'm going to suggest is that you really limit your practice area, which is a good thing anyway, because you want to know that practice area inside and out. You want to be the expert, whether you can say that you specialize in that area or not. You want to know that practice inside and out, and that will really help you set fees. The second thing is to take the time to do this research. It is going to take a little bit of investment in time to get this done accurately. Do that. Block off the time. It's probably going to take you less than 4 hours, but do this work ahead of time. You're going to look at your old cases, and for whatever practice area you're in, whether it's a case or a matter, look at the overall big picture of those cases. You can generally divide them into 3 or 4 categories of difficulty, of different types of matter. You can put every case in one category. So for instance, family law. You can divide them into what I used were 3 categories: easy, normal, regular, and holy crap. So the easy cases were the litigants. They were pretty reasonable, weren't going to have too much hand-holding. The case, pretty simple. You knew that there might be some letters back and forth, maybe a temporary order, but you knew it was going to settle in mediation or a settlement conference. Okay? The average, and those are few and far between. Those are the ones that you're like, oh my gosh, I love this client. And the opposing party is reasonable and opposing counsel is reasonable. If every case was like this, my life would be amazing. Then there are and those again are few and far between. Then there are the middle range cases that most cases fall into. You know that it's going to settle at mediation or at a settlement conference, but it's going to take some work in the meantime. There might be temporary hearings. You might need a guardian ad litem. There's going to be some nasty letters going back and forth, discovery. Those are the average cases. Then there's the, oh my gosh, I could leave the practice of law cases that happen, hopefully not very often, 3-5 years. Those are the just horrendous cases, whether there's drug and alcohol involved or a personality involved. That attorney on the other side who you're like, oh my gosh, okay, that bill just went sky high because that attorney's on the other side. So the first thing to do is to make those categories. If you're doing like estate planning, that would be a simple will for an individual, a simple will for a couple, a revocable living trust, and then sections in that of whether it's a descendants trust or a family trust, whether you're funding it or not. If it's criminal law, is this a misdemeanor case, gross misdemeanor case? Is it felony level? What sort of felony level are we talking about here? Are we talking about robbery or are we talking about murder? What court are you in? Are you in state? Are you in federal? So whatever practice area you're in, if you have some experience, just think about, you're going to have to get a little creative because these answers aren't right in front of you, you're going to have to think for yourself of what categories do these cases or do these matters logically fall into, okay? Then you're going to take like a random sampling of 5 to 10 of your past cases in each of those categories. And you're going to average out the total fees that you charged for each of those cases. Not what you were paid, but what you charged originally. So for instance, family law, you look at the normal cases and you average 10 of them out and you find that the amount charged averaged 20 grand, whatever. It's really important to do this work because you most likely are going to be surprised. When I first started doing this research, if someone would have asked me what my average case was, I would have said maybe at the end of the day, 10, 15,000, maybe. When I looked, it was actually more like 30. So if I would have started with what I thought in my head, instead of looking at the actual numbers, I would have set my flat fee far lower than I should have. So look at the actual numbers of what you're doing. So that's going to be your base number that we're looking at. It's not in stone yet. That's your base number. So whatever, if you're doing criminal, whatever you normally charge for DUI or whatever, okay? Then you're going to look at your state's specific RPCs and your opinions to look at what the factors are that will determine the fee. And every state has, how to set your fee and what factors you can look at to setting the fee. Most are falling into value, expertise, whether it's limiting other matters, work involved. Those are what really matter with setting flat fees. So for instance, what value are you bringing to the client? These are the fees that are going to increase your baseline fee. So value. What value are you providing to this client? Assault in the 4th degree, the value might be very different depending on your client. The value might be very different depending on whether your client has had prior convictions or not. If you're doing family law, the value that you are bringing to client A is one thing. Let's say that's $15,000. The value that you're bringing to client B, who may be Jeff Bezos in Seattle, is completely different. World's richest man, the value is going to be far different, as well as the liability to you. So really think about what value you're bringing and if your base fee needs to be increased accordingly. What expertise do you have? If you're really focusing your practice area, then you're an expert. Again, whether you can say that in your state or not, if that's all you do and you do that 8 hours a day, by golly, you know what you're talking about and you should be paid accordingly, period. If you have some special expertise that really affects your client, let's say you're doing criminal law or family law or whatever, and you have some special experience that with drugs or alcohol, let's say, you can spot an alcoholic a mile away and you know how that alcoholic works. You know how they think, and you are basing some of your actions in the case on that specialized knowledge. You should be rewarded for that. You should be able to be paid higher because of the value that you're giving your client. You're saving your client untold money, untold time, and using that to advantage your client. So that is a value. Limiting other matters. With flat fees, the benefits are so great and you can make so much more money that you can really cap out your matters each month. And I did. And I would say that to clients. We only take this many matters per month. It doesn't matter who else walks in the door, how much money they have. And so I can do an amazing job because these are the only matters that I'm taking on. And again, you should be rewarded for that because of the extra value that you're giving your client. The work involved, again, and this goes back to some of the categories, if you're working on one matter, and let's say there's a personality disorder on the other side, regardless of the case or the matter, your workload just went through the roof. Went through the roof, because causing turmoil is their whole gig, is the whole purpose of, that's their drug of choice. So yes, if there is, or some specialized whatever that you're going to have to do more research, or it's just going to be more work, then yes, your base fee is going to need to be increased proportionate to the amount of work that you're doing. Okay? So this is really an art, not a science. And how much your base fee should increase based on your factors really is completely fact dependent and up to your judgment. But keep in mind, it always has to be reasonable. You might have to justify that, and you should always be able to at least justify it in your head with a straight face as to what reason you set that fee and why it was so valuable to your client and why it's reasonable. And again, what is reasonable for client A in Tyler, Texas, is going to be very different than what is reasonable for client B in Manhattan, or client B in Manhattan who's worth $1 billion and who you just saved that money for. So it's going to be up to you, but look at the factors to see what your baseline should be increased to. So that's, in a nutshell, how you do the research to set your flat fee. Now, if you are brand new to the practice, you're not going to have that research, obviously. You can still use flat fees. And there'll be a whole separate video for you on how to do that. But essentially, there's going to be some guesswork, and you're going to need to talk to other attorneys, but you can still use flat fees, I promise, okay? So if you found this video helpful in any way, please like it, hit subscribe, share it, so that I know to make more videos like this. And I am so glad that you are learning about flat fees. They are great and amazing, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.